If you're in the SMMA space and you're looking to scale to 5K a month, maybe replace your full-time job, it's actually never been easier. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about some ways you can do so like I did. I started doing this full-time and replaced my full-time job back in July of 2022, and I've never looked back. So let's jump into some ways that you can start scaling to $5,000 a month. There's actually two approaches to this. There's obviously organic or unpaid, and then there's paid. I'm going to start with organic, and then we're going to go to paid a little bit later. But organic pretty much just means you're not going to put any money towards acquiring clients, and everything that you do in terms of outreach is going to be free. I also want to say that for both paid and organic, the success that you're going to have or not have is completely based on your offer and who you're targeting that offer to. So before anything else, make sure that the offer you're offering is not saturated. For example, I would not offer social media management or Facebook ads in this current market right now. There's just way too many people doing it. And I think there's some other services that you can get into, like email marketing, short form editing, Google ads, TikTok ads, that are not as saturated, and you can still get into the e-commerce or whatever industry you're interested in. You can still kind of break that plane and they're not as saturated. So after you figure out your offer and who you're going to offer it to, let's talk about some ways that you can outreach for free. I also want to say that the free methods you can start literally today, and there's no excuse that you shouldn't be outreaching at least 100 times a day. But getting into it, the first method I would use is Upwork. Upwork is pretty much just a database of like freelancers and companies looking for freelancers or agencies for really any project, but there is a lot of marketing help that is needed out there, and it's pretty much a whole source of warm leads that you can start reaching out to. And there's people that are looking for help. So there's no better place than Upwork to start. I actually got my first client off Upwork. I was able to use his testimony to acquire other clients for cold email, and I was just kind of expanding my outreach methods. But I did start on Upwork, and it started the kind of snowball effect to get to where my agency is now. So I'm in Upwork here, and it's pretty simple. All you're really going to do is type in a service that you're going to want to offer. So for me, that would be email marketing. And you can see just the thousands of people that are looking for email marketing help out there. I have US on only. If you want to go international, you can turn this off. And then obviously that 1,600 jobs turns into 13,000. So 56 minutes ago, 4 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, another 5 minutes ago. As you can see, the opportunities are endless on Upwork, and it's really kind of limitless for what service you're offering. So if you're into TikTok ads, you could also search for TikTok ads. If you wanted to try social media management, this would be the best place to look. But again, I wouldn't recommend doing that. The second is cold calling. Now, this is definitely for like local lead generation, especially in the restaurant and kind of brick and mortar spaces. You don't want to be cold calling e-commerce stores. I don't think that there's really a market for that. If there is, let me know if I'm wrong, but I just think that cold calling is more for local and kind of like the smaller mom and pop shops. And these are also lower ticket, but if you were to gather like 10 to 20 of these local mom and pop shops and charge them each $500 a month, like you can get to scaling your agency pretty fast. And if you prove that the work that you're doing is valuable and it gets feet in the door with whatever kind of industry that you're targeting, then this could absolutely be a huge outreach method that could pay off very well in the future. I actually tried cold calling in one of my recent videos. It didn't go super great for me, but I was only doing it for about 15 minutes. So I'm sure that if you stuck to it, you had a good offer, you had a good script, and you got used to it eventually, that it would be a huge asset you could have for your agency. The third is cold email for organic or unpaid. Now, I don't know if I'd recommend this for unpaid. I think that there's just more people, there's more agencies out there that are automating their emails, and you're just going to get left in the dust because there's people like me who are sending 5 emails a day, totally automatic, and I don't have to touch it once. That being said, if you do want to get personal and this is something that you really want to grind out, I would create a couple of burner accounts, warm them up a little bit, and then use hunter.io to find the personal email of people on LinkedIn or websites or really whoever you're targeting. This could also go for local lead gen as well. I'll leave a link to hunter.io if that's something you'd be interested in. But if you're in the online space and maybe you're targeting e-commerce stores, manual cold outreach is just simply not going to work. You're going to get burnt out, and the whole point of an SMMA is to stay consistent and just kind of growing your agency as the months go by. And if you're sending like 40 emails manually a day for a whole month, you're just going to get burnt out. That's the way things are. So try to stick to Upwork, cold calling, and the fourth method I have for you is actually cold DMing. Now, I've had a couple videos again on my channel talking about how I've done cold DM in the past on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, really anywhere where you see fit, where your industry is active and present. But I know for a lot of agencies that want to get into the e-commerce space, cold DMing is a perfect way to start doing that for absolutely free. On Instagram, there's like that shop tab you can go to. On Facebook, there's also like pages you can go to and see if they're running ads. And like I said, Facebook ads is maybe a little bit saturated, but you can still offer it if they're not running Facebook ads. Go to their website, find their Facebook. There's just multiple ways you can do it. You can even search in Google. Like if I'm doing like hat companies, companies, I would type in hat e-commerce companies, go to like the 7th or 8th page where like the non-popular e-commerce companies are, and start using hunter.io to like grab their personal email. Or you could go to their Instagram page, which I'm sure they would have linked, send them a cold DM, and kind of do that 100 times a day. If you're combining these outreach methods, again, for organic, I would aim to 100 a day. And then if you can in 10 days get to 1,000, get a couple of meetings booked. Again, if your offer's good and you're targeting it to the right people, you're not going to have a problem outreaching. I have a lot of people come to me that say, hey, Will, I've done 2,000 pieces of outreach and I have no responses. I have no meetings booked. And I ask them what their offer is, and their offer is terrible. So I'm like, it all depends on what you're offering to what industry and if it's saturated. So really ask yourself before you start outreaching, is this something that people in this industry would want, or are they even being offered it in the first place? Look, at the end of the day, to get to 5K, all you need is 5 clients paying you $1,000 a month, or 2 clients paying you $2,500 a month. And that is just not hard to do, especially if you're sending a couple thousand forms of outreach every single month. That is going to just happen. And if you know what you're talking about, you're a good closer, you're set. Now let's get into paid. If you want to put a little bit of money towards the traffic that's going to be driven to your agency, I do have a couple of methods that I've used that have worked really well for me that I'm going to give you as well. The obvious thing here is that profit margins are not going to be as great because you are putting money towards your agency. But if you want to save yourself some time and stress, then I would definitely put money towards cold email. Cold email is what I run every single day, and I up my outreach every single month. There's agencies like me out there that are doing 500. There's agencies out there that are doing tens of thousands a month, which is absolutely insane, but there are people doing that and people that are scaling massively. The softwares I would use, which again I'll link down in the description below, are instantly.ai to warm up and send your emails. From that software, you can actually warm them up. It has a system where it sends and receives emails to each other. You have full access to campaign analytics. There's a Unibox, which pretty much puts all the responses and replies from all your emails into one place. It's just a really easy to use software, and I recommend using it, especially if you're new to cold email automation. I would get leads on apollo.io because it has a database of over 250 million companies out there with their personal email, personal phones, and you can really get specific with the filters on who you're targeting and the leads list that you want to download. I think that Apollo and Instantly together are just under $200 a month, so keep that in mind, and that's not even including the emails. So you better be ready to spend $400 to $500 a month specifically on email automation if you're serious about growing your agency. The second I want to talk about is paid ads. Now, this is something that I'm just now getting into. I actually had a podcast recently with Cody Gavin, and we kind of talked about why nobody on YouTube talks about paid ads, which I think is a very interesting topic because nobody really talks about it, and it can be extremely valuable. Cody runs ads for his agency, and he says anywhere from $7 to the $20 mark is a sweet spot for where he can get leads. And as soon as that lead comes in, you would give him a call, you'd set up a meeting. It really is something that if you even put $200 to $300 a month towards paid ads, and it's really just a still image of your offer, I think that there's a lot of value behind that. I'm starting to run that for my agency. I'm already seeing some really good results. So again, if you don't want to put $400 to $500 towards email, maybe put just $200 in 1 month towards paid ads. Try it out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, now you know, in the next month you can put your money towards something that works a little bit better. I wouldn't recommend doing TikTok ads. I would probably stick to just the generic Facebook ads, as their lead generation software is actually pretty good. It's not as saturated as some of the other things like in the e-commerce space. So if you want to start doing lead generation for your agency and you have a little bit of money set aside, I would definitely recommend learning a little bit about Facebook ads, targeting somebody in your area or whatever your industry is, and then just kind of sending it, let it automate, let the leads come in. And like I said, as soon as you get that lead, give them a call, say, hey, I saw that you kind of put your information in. What are you interested in? Let's set up a call. This is something that I'm trying to get better at and work at myself. So stay tuned. I would love to make a video on kind of the results that I've yielded for that. Let's say you put $20 towards your paid ads. Let's say that gets you 20 to 30 leads. I don't know. I'm not good at math. Set up a meeting with 20 to 30 of those people. You can close 5 of them very easily. And if you already told them their offer, if they entered their information, they're already interested, then they're a warm lead. And closing a warm lead is much, much easier than closing a cold lead. Moving on to the third way you could spend money on your outreach is automating cold DMs. There are companies and softwares out there that allow you to do this. The space is a little bit weird right now. I wouldn't recommend maybe this being the number one source of outreach, but if you want to put a little bit of money towards it, I have been offered this service a couple of times just through Twitter, through Instagram as well. There are people out there that will automate your cold DMs legally, and I think there's a lot of value behind that, especially if you're in the e-commerce space. E-commerce is very abundant. It's very alive. More and more people start a Shopify or just online store every single day, every single month. So the leads are there. You just have to find a way to find them, and automating getting cold DMs could be a very valuable thing, especially on Facebook and Instagram. What I've seen for LinkedIn is that it's extremely saturated. I don't know if I'd go the LinkedIn route. I have a small LinkedIn myself and I get cold DM'd every single day by companies and I hate it. It's totally annoying. The fourth and final way I would put some money towards paid traffic, and perhaps the cheapest way, is cold calling VAs. So you could hire a VA, you could hire a couple of VAs and have them call 50 to 100 stores in your area, or shops or mom and pops or whatever in your area a day. And if you have 3 or 4 people doing this a day and they're good at English speaking, they know your offer, they know how to communicate, it could be extremely valuable and they'll just set it up for you automatically. Cold calling VAs can range anywhere from $7 to like $11 an hour. I probably wouldn't go more than 15 because at that point it's really just becoming a full-time employee. But I know that there are agencies out there that have a good solid community or network of cold calling VAs that just totally automate their outreach and reach out to as many local businesses as possible. I know that this one is definitely not as popular as like the other paid ways, but I think that there's a lot of value behind that kind of like not being as popular and that it's not as saturated, so there's more opportunity for you. Zooming back a little bit, I would recommend aiming for 5,000 a month if you're going to put money towards it. That could be 5,000 impressions, 5,000 emails, 5,000 calls, 5,000 DMs. Really just aim for that 5,000 mark, and you shouldn't be spending more than $500 a month on that. If you want to learn how you can scale your agency to 3K a month, maybe 5K is a little bit too daunting, I'll leave a video here that you can check out. If you did stick around, thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe and like button. It really helps me out. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.